before we hand things over to Grandy and Max on the Sports Hub. Also, you can call in or you can join us on YouTube, in our YouTube chat. I want to know your predictions for tonight. What are your feelings, Celtics fans? I thought they'd win the other night. I think tonight's a true toss-up. And of course, anything can happen in a Game 7. Well, what are your feelings tonight? And I do think that history is on the Celtics side. I'll get into those coming up in just a minute here. And again, betting odds galore tonight. Ready to popcorn maker a bunch of plays for you tonight. So, the phone number, 617-779-0985. Here we are, Celtics trailing 3-2 in the series. They've had 5 double-digit leads in all 5 games, and now they're facing elimination. And not many teams, given that only 13 of 295 teams in NBA history have come back from a 3-1 playoff deficit. So, Joe Math, that's a 4.4% chance. But you're telling me there's a chance. This is also the New York Knicks we're talking about here. The Celtics just lost their best player. There's no way Boston can join that exclusive comeback, right? Give you some numbers on that. Right off the bat, Joe Mazzulla in elimination games is 3-0. In Game 6 is 3-0. Game 6, 3-0. The Celtics are 9-2 in their last 11 elimination games. That means chance to lose the series. No other NBA team has more than 4 wins during that stretch. The Celtics are 5-0 in their last 5 elimination games on the road. Not to mention the Celtics were one of the greatest road teams all season and the best road team in the NBA this year. Now, the New York Knicks are 2-5 in their last 7 in closeout games. They're 4-9 in closeout games since 2001. They're also 0-5 in its last 5 closeout games at home. So, the Celtics all-time 13-11 in Game 6 when trailing 3-2. But they've won 3 of their last 4 Game 6s when facing a 3-2 deficit. Those are the numbers. That's the history that they're facing. I do get some players that I think we should look at coming up in a minute here. But I wouldn't write the Celtics off just yet. And will history repeat itself? I don't know. The last Game 6 you remember is the Derek White putback at Miami back in 2023, Game 6. Celtics won. No matter how you look at it, they won that game. They had a Game 4 situation at Miami years ago. They won. They had a Game 6 situation against Philly at Philly. 195-86. Miami again in a Game 7 in 22. That was 196 win. And, of course, Game 6, Round 2 at Milwaukee. 108-95. I understand that Jason Tatum was involved in most of those games. He absolutely was involved. Now, there have been some losses. If you remember back in 25, Game 5 of Round 1 versus Detroit, they lost that first game. Game 7 against the Pacers back in 2024 versus Philly. There's games that it's been the other way. And I know that they don't have Tatum, who had legendary performances in a couple of those games. He had a 16-point fourth quarter in Game 6 against Philly. We all remember that. Then that 46 points on the road in Game 6 against Milwaukee. I think the Celtics have a great shot tonight. Will we see the same things? Will we see Luke Cornett have the game that he had? Will they get anything out of Kristaps Porzingis? And can Jaylen Brown play the game he once did? Most people who cover the team and watch the team on a nightly basis will tell you that the Celtics really haven't changed anything. They're still taking their shots. Were their assist numbers up last game? Yes. I think it was their defense and rebounding, of course. But their defense, they put pride in it. Right? And on offense, they went at Jalen Brunson. That's what they were good at in the regular season. And tonight, I think Karl Anthony Towns could have a big game. They need to look inside more. I know he's not that guy, but he can be tonight. He can make a difference in this game. And if I'm looking at it, that's who I look at. Is Karl Anthony Towns for New York. Brunson's going to be Brunson. He'll come back from the game the other night. The Celtics have been leaving somebody open every game for New York. OG Anunoby had some big nights, right? In the last game, it was Josh Hart. I'd let guys take their shots, double team Brunson, and rebound the damn basketball. We'll see what happens. But the pressure's on. Let's not forget about that. The Celtics forced a Game 6. They're in New York. They haven't lost in this spot with Joe Mazzulla in a Game 6. They got nothing to lose. I know the end of the era is coming. We know it. It's coming. But the New York Knicks, the pressure. Going back to Boston, a Game 7, potentially losing 3 straight without Jason Tatum, the pressure's on. And I think it puts it right in the hands of the Celtics. I think they got a legit shot tonight. I think they have to get the same type of performances that they got in the previous game, and I think they need to rebound and defend. Continue the shot selection they've been doing. Don't change a thing. Defense and rebounding. Your thoughts at 617-779-0985. It's a pretty price to get into the New York game tonight. I'll tell you what those are and who is starting. What's going to be the starting lineup tonight? What will Joe Mazzulla do? And I got your wrangle, your ref angle. We'll do all that as we're here until 7:30, just before Game 6. We'll hand things off to Grandy and Max. They'll have your pregame. You'll hear from Joe Mazzulla as well. We're taking you up for another 15 or 16 minutes or so. If you want to call in, I'll take your calls on the other side. For now, we'll take a quick break. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
All right, back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub, I'm Joe Murray. I wanted to break a little early in case you guys wanted to get in on the calls before the game tonight, but this is a big one. Yeah, I'm reading from Sean Grandy. You'll have the call coming up in just a little bit, but he says he expects an extraordinary amount of Game 6 content tonight. Torrey Craig getting on our bus wearing a Luke Cornett jersey is not the way I thought that list would start. So how about that? Wearing the jersey all ready to go. A couple players I wanted to get in on that I think could have big nights just based off history. But how about going to the game tonight? Like, you know what the prices are for this thing? I mean, it's not in our budget, Skaz, but folks are definitely dropping serious coin to be at Game 6 of the series against the Celtics. One fan paid a whopping $20,000 for one seat at Madison Square Garden for the matchup tonight. And just looking at some of the apps, the anticipation of Game 6 is at an all-time high. Record levels to get into tonight's game. The highest ticket price sold was $20,000. So I'm sure they're going below that. And all the celebrities that are there. What do you think you get? Jimmy Fallon, Chris Rock, Jay-Z, Adam Sandler? You know, Spike will always be there. You got Kylie Jenner's new boy toy. What's his name? Thomas, whatever his name is.
Joe, put some respect on Chalamet's name. Come on.
That's true. Hey, he's a boy toy. He's just a sexy boy. Sexy boy. Skaz, would you ever pay that amount of money? I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, no, Joe. That's not even something I can fathom.
What do you got for tonight? I mentioned all those Game 6 numbers. They all back the Celtics 5-0, the last 5 elimination games on the road, the best road team in the NBA this year. 9-2, their last 11 elimination games. It's pretty good. And all-time 13-11 in Game 6 when they trail 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to try and kind of recreate the other night. I think you're going to need your bench to show up again. You're going to need buckets from Hauser. You're going to need a big Peyton Pritchard game. I kind of think, Pritchard, Derek White, Jaylen Brown are going to be, your guys putting the ball in the hoop. So hopefully Pritchard he's been a little up and down at times in this playoffs, but when he's gotten over 30 minutes, that's been a good thing for the Celtics. So I think you see that tonight. And then, what does New York adjust to, with Luke Cornett, the Luke Cornett game? What are their adjustments there? Does he start? I know Mazzulla has said Porzingis is going to play tonight. He sounded pretty confident. I saw some clips of Porzingis at shoot-around. He looked, all right, but I feel like we've said that, a couple times before games headed into the series. So I wouldn't expect much out of Porzingis. I think it's going to be a lot of Cornett and Horford. Maybe you get, a small stint from Torrey Craig again. But I think this game comes down to what do Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard do for you offensively. I think it kind of starts there. And then, can you get a Drew Holiday offensive game where he gives you, 14 to 18 points on, a very efficient shooting? I think you're going to need almost all of those things to win tonight.
Who starts?
I think Cornett starts tonight.
Too. You see these numbers here of Porzingis? When he was on the floor in his 12 minutes, they had an offensive rating of 79. Their defensive rating, 124. Off the court, the offensive rating was 158. Defense 104. He's an albatross right now. He's hurting them. The Cornett numbers are different, though. When he played with the starting 5 that you mentioned, the offensive rating was 163. The defense was 94. That's an anomaly. That can't happen again. Do you know that they outscored New York in 15 minutes with Cornett in the game? Like, outscored them. The other thing is, because last night we talked to Barstool Greeny, remember he said that I feel like I'm being gaslit. They changed some things, but for the most part, are they still shooting threes? Like, as far as the series goes, guys, the Celtics have made 85 threes. New York has made 55. They've outscored New York by 90 points from three-point territory. Yet, they're down 3-2. Trying to force again. This is why they can win tonight. This is why they can.
Yeah, I think the things that should worry you as a Celtics fan is Jalen Brunson is not going to foul out tonight. You got
Tony Brothers up in the. Oh, I got your Rango coming up.
OG Anunoby's not going to shoot as poorly as he did last game. Mikal Bridges will, step up again and hit all those mid-range jumpers. So I think the Celtics have to be locked in. I think their defense has been a big issue in this series. I think that's maybe the most unspoken thing in this series. But the Celtics defense has not been, and I know they've held the Knicks to around 100 points in every game, but it feels like every time they need a crucial stop that they've struggled to get it. At least early in the series for sure. So I'd like to see that intensity ratcheted up. I know Jalen took some of the responsibility in the last game. I'd like to see that again, and I'd like to see Derek White play, a little bit of better defense. And that sounds crazy to say, but he's been such an elite defender, especially at the rim for a guard over the last, year and a half, 2 years, that I think you're going to need some of that tonight, whether it's, stopping Cat on an offensive rebound or getting a block on Mitchell Robinson late when he gets his, fifth offensive rebound of the night. Like all those little things you're going to need tonight.
I just want to mention, you mentioned Derek White. He has 38 threes in the playoffs. You know who's second?
I was going to say
Edwards. So Derek White is doing Anthony Edwards things from three. I'll leave it at that. So who should have a big game tonight? It's Drew Holiday. Based off history, right? This will be his 7th game 6. He's averaging over 18 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. 3 steals. He's number 1 all time in that category. The only loss against the Celtics when he played for the Bucks, but looking at his point total for tonight, not so much about the history, but this could be the end of an era. He's probably one of the guys that goes. He has a big game. He looked good in the previous game. 14 points. I think he's starting to get his stroke back. They need more out of him offensively. He just needs to take more shots. That's it. He's the most unselfish player on the team. I know Tatum's unselfish. Drew Holiday will do whatever you ask of him, but I just looked at the number for tonight. His betting number, as far as points for Drew Holiday, is 12. I'd go over. I'd go over. I think they need him to have an offensive performance to do well tonight. I got some more bets for you coming up in a minute here. Also wanted to mention in Jalen Brunson's postseason career, just with the Knicks, they have an 8-12 record following a win, a 9-3 record following a loss. 7 of the 9 wins, which followed the loss, they were all decided by 2 to 9 points. The Celtics are in this thing tonight. I'm telling you right now. I got a wrangle for you coming up because Lord knows we all need to know who the who the officials are for tonight. And it's not Scott Foster. Tony Brothers will be on the camera, but it's James Capers tonight, along with Tyler Ford, Ed Malloy, and JB DeRosa. Now, only reason why I wanted to bring these numbers up to you is that the Knicks and Celtics in the last 3 postseasons, the Knicks are 3-5 with Capers, or 3-5 overall with that group. The Celtics are 8-4 with that group. Knicks 16-19 in the regular season. Celtics 21-12. So who does that favor? Definitely the Celtics. Celtics are 29-16 combined with all the officials, regular season and postseason. James Capers 4-1. Very, very, very good. When it comes to the officiating. So if we're looking at a wrangle tonight, certainly would be the Celtics on that end. Kristaps Porzingis does have a betting line for tonight. 0.7. You have to go over. He's either going to make an impact or he's not going to play at all. It's one or the other. I don't think they're going to put him out there, and if he looks bad, he's coming right to the bench. So I don't think he starts tonight, but I'll tell you, that building, you haven't seen the unicorn all playoffs. Who would have any expectation for Porzingis tonight? Me. I'm betting over 7 points for Kristaps Porzingis tonight. You don't even have to ring the bell, Skaz, because I want everybody to hear that one. As far as the betting line goes, Celtics are 2.5. If you're going to bet it, take the money line. It's plus 120 right now. Total's 212. They're 2.5-point underdogs. Just take the money line if you think they win. You can always hedge out around halftime. So there are your stats for tonight. The ref angle definitely going towards the Celtics. I mentioned Jalen Brunson after losses is 9-3. But all those wins were between 2 and 9 points. No blowouts. I don't know if there's a game 7, but I think they certainly have a shot tonight. And I still think they should continue to shoot the 3. Maybe make the extra pass. It's going to come down to defense and rebound.